Hello everyone, welcome to this video. So in this video we're gonna learn how to do swipe detection. Right here I have this cube which I can move with arrow keys. Here I've set up this input action that is a vector2 value and it has the arrow keys as its bindings. And here in the code, I have the input action, which has the vector2 value, and I subscribe to that event, and I start this coroutine with the vector2 value that I get from that. And now we can do the same thing with swipe. So let's create a script called swipe detection. So we want to be using the Unity engine.input system, and here we're gonna have two input actions. We want to know the position of the touch, and we want to know when it is pressed and released. And in the awake method, we're going to enable them. So enable, and we're going to store the value of position in a vector2 field called current position. So this is going to be position.readValue vector2. And we also want vector2 for storing the starting touch position. So let's call it initial position. And when we start getting the touch, so press.performed is when we're going to say initial position is equal to current position. And when we stop getting the touch, we're going to detect swipe. So we're gonna need a detect swipe method, and we're going to call it here. And in our detect swipe, we're gonna have a vector2 delta, which is going to be the direction of our swipe. So we want to get the direction from the initial position to the end position. So we're going to subtract current position from, we're going to subtract the initial position from the current position, which is going to give us the direction going from this to this. And then we want to check if the touch was long enough to be considered a swipe. So we're gonna have a float called swipe resistance, and we can set it to be 100. And this is going to be the swipe's threshold. So if our touch has moved longer than that, then we can consider it to be a swipe. So we're going to say if delta.x is longer than our swipe resistance, then we have swiped on the x-axis. But since delta.x is going to be negative if we have moved our touch towards left, we are going to get the absolute value of it. So math function dot absolute value, and if this happened, then we are swiping either left or right. And we're going to store that in a vector2 direction, which at first we're going to set it to be 0. And here, if we detected the swipe on the x-axis, we're going to say direction.x is going to be either -1 or 1. So we're gonna do math function.clamp the delta.x to be either -1 or 1. And we're going to do the same thing for the y. So we're just gonna change X to Y. And now we have the swipe's direction in this direction vector 2. And for its usage, we're going to fire up an event. So we're gonna have a delegate void swipe, and this is gonna have a vector2 direction in its parameters. And now that we know how to call those functions, we're gonna have an event called swipe performed. And down here, we're going to check if we actually detected a swipe here. So if direction is not equal to vector2.0, and if swipe performed is not null, then we're going to send this event with the direction as its data. And to make it easier to reference this in other scripts, we're going to create a static instance. So instance, and that is going to be instance equals this. And here in my cube movement, I am starting this coroutine with arrow keys, and now I can do the same thing with swipe. I can do swipe detection dot instance dot swipe performed, and then the rest of it is just like that. We can copy and paste it, except we don't want to read value vector2 because we're passing a vector2 type strictly. Alright, now we need an instance of this script in our scene, so I'm going to attach it to my main camera. And the position is going to be a value, and we're going to pass a vector2. And for the press, it's going to work like a button, and the interaction is going to be press. And for the bindings, we can add the touch position. And for the press, we can add the touch press. And now we can swipe the screen and it works as expected. And as you can see, if I do like very small swipes, that does not register as a swipe, and it has to be long enough. And also, if we swipe kind of diagonally, it's still going to register for the axes in which we swipe longer. But if we swipe perfectly diagonally like that, it's going to detect that diagonal swipe as well. And as you can see, my cube is doing weird stuff because it was not supposed to roll diagonally, but as you can see, it's working. Alright guys, I hope this helped you all out. If it did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, please. Thank you.